focus on it a bit. And that is that when this enlightened being was asked how do you respond to someone who's about to kill you, it said, do you just then don't feel anything at all? It said, no, that's not right, but feel love. Now the Course echoes this in different ways. I think there's a statement in the Course that says, what's the difference between a murder or a frown? It says there is no hierarchy of illusions. As soon as you make a hierarchy, you're trying to give structure to nothingness. This nothingness is higher, bigger, more important, etc. And that is very true, and it's a very good thing to remember that. However, in practical situations, if you can stop your ego at the level of a negative thought, that is far easier to deal with than going ahead and having the thought and then do the action and then stop it there. You're about to hit somebody, so you stop yourself, and it's even better to stop it before you hit him. In other words, it's like a forest fire. We'd much rather put out a little blaze right here that's contained than one that's trying to burn your whole house down. It's just, from practical respects, I'd much rather frown than be caught trying to kill you or attacking you with a weapon. And the main reason for that is not because that, though even any of that is not nothing, it's still nothing. But I happen to know that I'm going to take a lot more seriously a negative action like that than I would a negative thought, and I'll have a harder time forgiving myself or accepting the Holy Spirit's acceptance of what I am. It's just a practical thing. Somehow energy acts that way. If I just have a negative thought about you, number one, best thing is don't tell you. Just a real simple suggestion. Go change your negative thought and then tell them the positive thought. How many people do you know who are really just dying to hear all the negative thoughts you have about them? Not a whole lot. And so there's a sort of a balancing act that is required when someone is confronting you with negative thoughts of one sort or another. We'll suppose it hasn't got to the action level, although it applies there too, I suppose. If that is the case, it is good for you to remember that what they're concerned about is nothing, and also to remember that what they're concerned about is something to them. It's not nothing to them. You see, so here's a bit of nothing right here. Well, you see that. They, whoever they is, they don't, or they wouldn't be sending negativity your way about whatever they're talking about. And so you need to see that, but to remember this. And instead of saying, well, they ought to understand that it's nothing, and tell them and attacking them for not being smarter or something, you need to understand, and at this point, this needs to be accepted. Accept the fact that they don't see it. And by accept, we particularly mean that there is no need for you, so don't do it. Don't try to heal them. Heal them or change them.
Or do nothing.
Yeah, right. Because there's always a temptation, oh, I see it's nothing, you don't, let me fix you, you are broken. I see where you're broken, let me tighten that screw up there above your ear or something.
No thanks.
And instead, you just want to accept them as, not only as they are, as they think They are. You don't have to join with this, but just accept it. I accept the fact that you think you're smarter than everybody else in the whole world. I don't agree with that. I'm not going to join you there. And so you never listen to anybody when they try to tell you how to do this, that, or the other. I'm going to accept that. That's how you are. I'm not going to copy you because I don't happen to think that I'm smarter than everybody else. Or if I do, I need to put it aside. That's for sure. And I just want to accept them. You can't love something, just let me throw this out here and you agree or disagree. How can you love something you don't accept? If I'm not accepting you, I'm saying that you're not valid to exist, kind of like. At least in the way that you're now trying to exist. You're deficient.
You're separating.
You're separate. Oh yeah, because I'm not deficient, and don't join their deficiency either. By the way, what you want to understand is that that's nothing, and the only thing that separates you is nothing, which means you're not separated. But we can forget that. I think that many people have an urge when they are confronted with one statement after another that they don't agree with and they think is incorrect. They have an urge to fix that, either by shutting the other person up, telling them that's not true, or whatever. And I would say this has got, before you reply or deal with the person, you need to first accept them. They think that. Yeah.
So, by accepting what they do, or what you see that is wrong, are you really accepting them? You've already seen it as wrong.
I'd rather not see it as wrong. I'd rather, because remember we started out with what I see. I don't want to forget that. I'm still seeing whatever it is they're talking about as nothing. That's why I called it a balancing act. I see it as nothing, but I recognize that you see it as something. In other words, I may the fact that you did something that you think is wrong. Well, I may see that as nothing, as having not important at all. But I need to recognize that that's not where you are right now. And you have to start with people where they are. That's what the Course does. It always starts with us where we are, and it does not judge us as bad, whether we're having a murder thought or a frown on our face. It doesn't matter. There's no distinction between it. It's just we're seeing something that's not there. We're giving, when you start giving energy to nothing, then it becomes something to you. And I don't want to join you there. There's this wonderful verse in the Course that says, join with the dreamer, but not with his dream. We tend to, our actions tend to, I want to ignore the dreamer and attack his dream. Would be a real common kind of thing, you know. And we're not, we've lost sight of the fact that the dream is nothing. It is the dream, yours or mine or somebody else, the dream is nothing. But the dreamer is the Son of God. And you can join with, that's just another brother. Okay, you can join with him. And it's important to do that, but you don't have to accept his beliefs or his actions or anything like that. And by the way, accept doesn't mean I'm going to judge you as bad and accept you as bad. That's not accepting. You can't judge and accept. I can't judge you as a bad person and then accept you. I accept your belief that you're a bad person just because that's where you are right now. I don't judge that as negative or positive. That's just where you are. And so once I see where you are, and I don't let it get into me to make me think I've got to fix you, because I don't. I just let it be. And then I try to find a way to join with the dreamer, not the dream. So we have to separate those. There's the dreamer and the dream, and we put a line between them. We join with one, not the other. We don't confuse them. And therefore we don't attack them. We want to accept them instead. I believe that the biggest obstacle in this is your desire to fix the other person, or to present truth to them.
Or to have them look at it differently. One of my students had been through a horrendous thing that happened to her, and she shared it and wanted to share it, and I can't even imagine that happening to me, so I had no words of, and then I used that, I'm not a body, I am free, I'm still as God created me. And it stuck with her.
Good.
And I
Wonderful.
was so grateful I had that. But sometimes you don't have to even get into their dream or whatever you want to call it. You can just stay where you are, and I was grateful for that.
Yeah, that reminds me of something that happened to me early on in my years of being interested in the Course of Miracles. And it involves one of the greatest teachers in my life. And that is my stepmother, who as a child I didn't like at all. I didn't hate her. I didn't think she existed. I didn't regard her as a person. There was a robot in our house. There was the boss. You definitely did what they said, or she said. But there was just no joining there. And she knew that I didn't care anything about her at all. She knew that. Just with a look. I just have to look at her and tell her that. It's like that. I don't have to say a word. And she knew it. She didn't have to hear a word. As I grew up, though, and I learned the Course, I realized that forgiveness is it's necessary, And besides, there's certain experiences help you forgive others, and so that occurred. So there was a state there where I'd forgiven Ava. That was my stepmother's name, and but I still didn't know quite how to react to her. I'd go visit her, and then she'd say some unpleasant thing, and I'd get bothered by it. So I still needed some healing there, because what she said bothered me. I'd get so mad. The one time I just canceled my whole trip and turned around and left and went to the airport and flew home. I mean, I'm just not over here that stuff. That's where we get. You go all the trouble to get on an airplane, fly to a whole nother state, and then they say something, and then you say, I don't agree with that. That's not true. Yes, it is. I'm out of here. Oh, it's interesting. Well, then there came a time when for some reason or other, all that just washed away. And I no longer cared what I said one way or the other. It was fine. Whatever she said was fine. It just doesn't make any difference. I only had positive feelings for her. And in the truest sense, I just started loving her. I don't know exactly how that happened, but somehow I did.
But you joined with her, but not her dream.
Oh yeah, I was totally uninterested in her dream. Here's the way that played out one time. I was there, and my oldest daughter happened to be living there in Fort Worth, that's where we had gone, that's where they lived. And I was talking about my oldest daughter. Her name's Cindy. And Cindy was an agnostic, maybe an atheist, I'm not sure. Anyway, I was telling my mother and father there that Cindy was looking around for some church to go to. She wanted to find a unity church. Now, Iva's thought system is, go think about Cro-Magnon and then Neanderthal. It's just way down there. I mean, it's just a very fixed thought system, and I don't mean that in a critical way. It's just that's just her right. Accept it. Accept it. It's fine. Not my problem, actually. But in her mind, that was awful. Why not a Baptist church? What do you mean you're looking for a unity church? Don't you know the truth of the universe is in the Baptist churches? You know. Well, she said, well, she should find a Baptist church. I said, I don't know whether that would work because I'm not sure she believes in God. Well, did that hit? Did that do it? Oh my goodness! Forget not believing in Jesus. I mean. And I was not, I just blurted that out. I was not trying to be negative. It's just going to the bottom line as straight as possible, which you don't always want to do, but I did. Well, that set off firecrackers. Oh, and I has this wonderful ability to be saying nothing and go on and saying it more and more and more. It just never runs out. You know, she's really good at that. She was very good at that. About, well, if you don't believe in God, you're going to hell. And now she's got about 20 different ways to spell that out to you, going from one to the other. I had absolutely no reaction to that. You're talking about not reacting. Zero. You might as well be telling me, I'm going to go count grass leaves out there in the front of the yard. Whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No reaction. She has the right to all that stuff. I don't, in a certain sense, I don't care that she believes that or not. That's her journey. It's not my problem. And so the point is I had no emotional reaction to it. Though we were talking about that earlier, about when someone wants to shoot you with a gun, how do you feel? And so, and finally, I was listening and then discarding. Listen, discard, trash, listen, trash, listen, trash. Finally, she said something I could join with. And she said, you've just got to follow the Holy Spirit. And it dawned, a little light popped on into my little mind, oh, that's one of your beliefs. And I just looked around and said, but that's really true. That's so important, isn't it? Then I shut up. Well, she ran and raved more. Just junk. But I'm not judging her. I'm just not letting it stay. There's not a resting place here for you, that thought. There's no place for you. You said, whatever. And it didn't bother me that that's where she thought she was. She has a right to be there. If I'm a Cro-Magnon, I have a right to be Cro-Magnon if I think I am. Yeah, I have a right to believe I'm Cro-Magnon. Not your problem. Well, it may not be, but hope you don't make it your problem. At any rate, and so she went on, and finally she said something else. And God is love. And I said, but that is true. We just got to really remember. I compliment her on the word of truth. And then I shut up. And then she went again. And finally she said a third thing. And here I come again. Just pour it on. Now I am loving her, by the way. When she says something true, I say, yes, honey. I didn't say honey time, but it's the same thing. Yes, honey, it's true. That's true. Good for you. That thought, I agree with that. I didn't have to do. I didn't have to do that. I just simply said, yeah, that's really important. So glad you said that. Whatever. After that third time, she collapsed. All the negativity simply. There was no support for it. She had tried to get it to go. She had handed it to me on a platter. And the third one, she just dropped the platter. She went, I can't make him mad. I can't irritate him. And she just came over and put my arm around me. I don't ever remember her doing that again before in my whole life. She said, Bob, you know so much more about that than I do. And I said, well, I do not. That's not so. But it just took the wind, as they say, out of their sails. And the sails then collapsed. None of that stuff was her anyway. But she is trapped in a certain, just like anybody, many people can, trapped in saying something where there was nothing. She couldn't see that it was the stuff she was saying wasn't anything. It would not have helped if I said if I had hit the wrong thoughts and said wrong. That's attack. I mean, it's just that's not joining. In other words, when you join with the dreamer, not the dream, it doesn't say attack the dream and then join with the dreamer. You can't do that. If I attack everything you believe, I say, but I'm one with you. Yeah, right. I don't like what you think, what you do, or what you believe, or what how you look, or anything else, but I'm one with you. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Isn't that a real old story? I mean,
I've told that
we're talking
before.
about two cultures.
Okay. I know.
We're talking about two cultures that don't have the same belief. They don't share the same beliefs. So they're locked into this conflict, and they don't see it. They do it to themselves. It's basically a game of spiritual one-upmanship. My beliefs are better than yours.
See, okay, if I say my beliefs are better than yours, behind that is the desire, well, there might be several things behind it, but one of them is, I want to replace your beliefs in your mind with my beliefs. I want mine are better, and I want to get them into your mind. I'm trying to fix you.
That's a fight.
It's the first step in that direction. It doesn't usually
Straight.
get very far.
Straight out of the ego.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And so I went, I just wanted to get the sequence. I don't accept your dream, which is only Baptist, only this way, only that way, everybody else goes to hell. And even some of the people that do go to the Baptist church go to hell, for that matter. Anyways, I don't accept any of that, but I don't respond to it either. And then I get to love the person by waiting until they say something that's true and just hitting them with it. And I might add that I'm sure it was pretty apparent that I was uninterested in all the other stuff. I wasn't uninterested in the sense of being bothered by it. I just saw it for what it was. It was nothing. But you must remember that the other people don't see it as nothing. You must accept that they don't do that. You're not any better or worse than them. It's just where we are, you know. And then you wait patiently, if you can, you know, for something to say. There's a pressure. If any of us went to visit another church, this is not exactly a church, but you know, if we went to visit a church that had a little Sunday school class, we were sitting there and we were hearing things that we didn't believe, just one after the other, one after the other. You know, there's a tendency to begin to feel uneasy about that. Why is that? Why do I feel uneasy if you're describing to me that the earth is flat and everything's held in place by the Arctic, you know? Yeah.
Maybe I believe you're special, and you're entitled to whatever dreams you want to believe. You're the dreamer of your dreams. I dream my own.
That's right. That's exactly right. Now, if I'm interested in specialness, though, I will want you to recognize my dream is better than yours. See?
I'm talking specialness more on the idea of the best I can do with love.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right.
Okay, not necessarily you're special, like, oh, you're so special, you know.
Yeah, or my dream is the special.
I'm not trying to put you up on an altar. I'm
Right.
just saying that we're all unique.
Yeah.
And you can believe whatever you want.
Right, that's exactly right. And I don't have to be concerned about where your path is, and I wanted this to be a far-reaching thing, not just because Iva was my stepmother, and I had a wonderful relationship with Iva as an older person.
And I might ask for help. Let me ask you if you can help me. Do I understand what you're saying? Are you saying that God is the kind of God that would put together a hell where we're punished eternally for some crime that we did here? Is that what you're saying? You know, and just discuss it with them.
No, I don't. Yeah, what works for you may not work for me.
It may not.
So I'm not going to put it out as what you're supposed to do. But for me, that's a slippery slope there. It may not be for everybody. You know, really, I think this is an individual decision. But I don't want to put my mind into the what I will call negative thought frame that's in your mind. And I think that the Course actually does comment on this somewhat when it talks about empathy. And it says you don't want to join the other person in his dream. And if I go talking about his dream and I don't join him with it, he's going to sense that I'm not joining and point out my differences. There's going to be, and besides, The other thing is, I just don't give a flip about that. I don't care what you're dreaming. I just don't care. Why should I talk about something I'm not interested in? I would just listen for something that makes sense because I want to be loving. And I can show the loving part by joining with something. And then I just retreat. You see, it's a lot of times we talk and we just stay there and say more and say more and say more, and pretty soon we're in a fight. You don't have to do that. You can say, I see nothing. But I remember they're seeing, for them, they're seeing something. And so when, by chance, there's an opportunity, then I step in and be loving. I don't just stand here to be hit. I just step back. I'm back to the place where it doesn't matter what you say. It never mattered what they said anyhow. I'm not in it for what they say. I'm in it for the opportunity to join with the dreamer. That's all. I don't have another horse in the race, as they say.
That to me sounds like the key, is the opportunity to join with the dreamer.
It is. And by the way, this did benefit. I wasn't doing it to benefit out of it. I didn't care about. I don't care about fixing Iva or you or anybody else because I'm not a fixer.
There's nothing to fix.
There's nothing to fix, and I don't know how to fix it anyhow. If there were something to fix, I wouldn't know how to fix it.
There is love.
Then there is love, and it can be
And it is an
expressed.
opportunity to join.
But you must start by accepting the other person as being exactly where they're supposed to be right now and having the right to be there.
Totally encounter.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's withdrawing your expectations about the other person. I want you to be a course student if you're going to talk to me. Otherwise, be quiet. I don't want to come at you with that, idea. I just want to hear and find out when I can join with you. And I don't get points for doing this. There are no points. It's just you're joining with truth, and only the truth is truth. See, so you don't have to worry about the other. It's not necessary. I don't know why we think we have to fix one another, but I do remember from the Bible after, what was it, Cain killed Abel, and God said, Cain, where's your brother? And I think Cain said, I'm going to be missing this quote, but you'll remember the story, I'm sure. And Cain said, well, I'm not my brother's keeper, and God said, yes, you are. It's something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm missing it a bit, but yes.
Well, I think that, I'm not speaking in biblical terms, but I think it's always been you're a good person if you're helpful. And so I think that interpretation has gone into religion, and of course good people are helpful people. And so however you think you're supposed to be helpful can get in that area.
So if you're good,
You're helpful.
you want to be helpful,
Yes. So that means.
so you can show that you're good,
Yeah,
which means special.
right. Exactly.
Feel good about yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, all good people are helpful people.
They're all Baptist over here.
And so the course wants to come in and put a big X on this part right
Yeah.
here.
And you
No.
Special point.
and you can be helpful.
Yes, I'm leaving this one
Yeah,
alone.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not Xing that one.
Right.
I'm just Xing this one.
Right.
I like to tell people sometimes that I don't even think of myself as a good person. I'm not a bad one either. I just am.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Good. God doesn't see me as good. He sees me as perfect. See, that's the advantage of the word perfect. It avoids the degrees of good and bad. It doesn't go there. If you're perfect, you're not more perfect than somebody else.
Yeah.
You're just perfect, you see.
Yeah.
It's as good as it gets. As good is the wrong word to use, I suppose.
the word helpfulness can be a little deceiving too. I mean, a lot of times someone might say, well, I was helpful, but that's defensive, isn't it?
Yeah, if they say it that way, yes. They must have thought that you believed, they must have thought you were criticizing them in some way, see.
I mean, it's
And
vocabulary.
You can just say, well,
words
yes, you were fine.
words often lack the intent behind them. I mean, we can say things one way or another, having totally different meanings. So vocabulary's kind of like nothing.
It's like if you're speaking to somebody that is, with their ego's in charge pretty much or whatever, and you want to say, I'm just really trying to understand you. What I say is, I'm not interested in your ego. I don't give a flip about your ego. I don't want to understand your ego. I don't want to know anything about it. I want to have no contact with it whatsoever. But I accept you where you are, to whatever extent you want to have an ego. That's fine. It just means that I'm not interested in joining. I'm going to join with you, but I'm not interested in your dream, and I don't need to understand your dream, you know, in a personal sense. You know, if you're gonna fix my car, I need to understand that you know how to do that. That's always helpful. But at a personal sense, I don't understand, I don't need to understand you. It's taken me a long time to realize I don't have to understand my wife. It is not necessary. It's just not necessary. And I'm probably incapable of it anyhow.
Well, thanks for the advice.
Yeah.
I've been misled here.
All I need to do is to get along, basically. All I need to do is to keep saying that whatever problems she has are nothing, but remembering that to her, they're not nothing. So I accept them. And if she doesn't feel good, I say, I'm sorry. I'm not taking responsibility for it. That's just a real common way to let a person know that you accept the fact that they're not perfect in their estimation right now. Their estimation is wrong, I might add, but you don't tell them that. You just simply accept them as they are. As they and that means as they think they are. I accept them. When you accept somebody, you're not saying, okay, I accept this as true, it's your truth, it will be true forever. No, I'm not saying that at all. You're on a ladder. I'm in a ladder. Oh, you're on that rung. I accept that you're on that rung. I don't try to push you off or grab you. What if you were on a ladder and somebody above you tried to grab hold of you, take you off the ladder and pull you up to a higher rung? You would be screaming at him, let go, because you figure you're going to fall off the ladder. See? So it's really helpful to remember that we're seeing nothingness all the time, but we forget that and start judging it. As soon as we start judging it, it's not nothing to us anymore. It's a way to be special, to show that I'm better, or maybe something else for that matter. Don't let nothingness get its hands on you. It does not benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, why don't we join in a circle? We'll have a closing thought. Thank you all for being here today.
Gotta
Get the new year
break in the
started
chain
off.
here.
We've got a new regular
Well,
chain.
Let's close with the thought that I'm not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Together, please.
I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me.
Yes.
Hope you have a great Sunday, a great week, and we hope to see you again soon.
And so it is. No, I want to go. And so it is. And so it is.
John, did you come here on pictures? Y'all stay home? We went out to eat, really good meal, and then just went back home.
I mean, it's just another day.
Another night, yeah.
I probably did that.
I had the night after.